after an exciting first match in the month of June, Orange County drops points in Phoenix against Phoenix. It's not fun when that happens, right? And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about more. We're going to try and make this a fun episode for y'all to relieve you from the pain from this past weekend. Let's get into this. Welcome to the Podcast of Champions. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I'm here to take you through this journey as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Let's see who's helping me out for this episode first. It feels weird. We were sitting shoulder to shoulder just a week ago, Dylan. Now we're on different screens here on the show. Dylan from up north. How are we doing, Dylan?
I'm doing well. I don't miss you, just so everyone's clear.
Great. Hurt my feelings there, Dylan.
Hey, Brad, how's it going? You're somewhere in here. Brad, from
Brad.
Brad's
helping me out tonight.
Well, just living the life out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, with really nothing to look forward to because we did not win this last weekend.
Question, is that living La Vida Loca?
No, living La Vida Elvis Presley chapels. I don't know.
But just so you know, Dylan, Brad missed me, even though we haven't seen each other in a longer period than me and you. Also helping us out, we needed someone that actually knows what they're talking about for this episode. Because I think Dylan, well, Brad and myself were like, we could maybe get, if it's just the two of us. Dylan hopped on. Dylan has some knowledge, but this last guest is the knowledgeable list one out of all of us.
I'm not sure knowledgeable list is a word, but yeah, I'll take that. And thanks for having me on, guys.
And I love when you said that. For those not watching the video feed, Brad was trying to point towards you to give you credit, and he couldn't figure out which direction DK was on the screen. So good try there, Brad.
Yes, you got me there
now. And you know what? If it's not an official word in the Oxford Dictionary, let's say it enough times the rest of 2024 to make it a word in the Oxford Dictionary, and that's knowledgeable list, right? That's what we're gonna say.
Let's not.
I think a 5-0 Orange County win is more likely than knowledgeable as being recognized by the Oxford or Merriam-Webster dictionaries,
or by
maybe Google Dictionary will take it on for their online things. Let's do this. This is not a word podcast.
I've done a lot of flack in years past, but look what you have done to this show.
That's the word, right?
Low listenership.
It's because we had to have the most knowledgeable-list person on here. Dylan, let's talk about this match this past weekend. I'm going to let you get the first word on here because you just look shocked. Orange County, coming off a nice win at home against Detroit, goes on the road in Phoenix. And we all, I think, last week were pretty excited or pretty comfortable. We knew this would be a test, but we were pretty excited about the potential for Orange County to not just come away with 1 point, but come home with 3 points in this match, or at least leave Phoenix with 3 points in this match. Unfortunately, due to a lot of injury issues, I think there was 9 reported injuries by Orange County. And maybe who knows what's going on with Colin Shuttler. He was in the 18, but he was not in the starting lineup. It was a difficult night for Orange County, and they end up conceding. Although I will say this, they played well enough. They should have at least got 1 point out of this, if not for some mistakes towards the end. But again, dropping points, all 3 points on the road. Dylan, thoughts on this match and how Orange County performed?
This is an example of why it pays to have experience. If you don't have a Kyle Scott and if you don't have a Seth Kasipli on that field, and it's fun to think of Kyle Scott as one of the more senior players, but he's made a good amount of appearances for us in the last 2.5 years. If you don't factor those two into this game, it's probably 3-4-0. Like, them being the senior members kind of is, and that's no disrespect to Seth. He's not that old. It's a lot, but this was an experience. Did us in. Duran Free did. The shot stopping is there. I mean, I think a few of those were called huge saves, and lots of praise in the commentary. But there were a couple that were right at him that he should be stopping. And then obviously, look, I feel like I shouldn't criticize goalkeepers as much as I do. I think he could have done a lot better with the first goal, and I think actually, let me just say this: the second goal is completely his fault. So, as bad as we were for 10, 15 minutes, kind of the beginning of this game, we worked our way into it. That happens, and we've seen in the past, if you score one goal in the first 10 minutes, but you can't add another one, it's unlikely you're going to hang on for another 80, 85 minutes to actually win 1-0. You're usually going to have to score at least another. So that's exactly what happened. I don't think I was as down as maybe everybody else was in that first 20 minutes, as bad as we were. Some changes were made. Cameron Dunbar looked very threatening. Some of the finishing product isn't there. Some of the easier passing isn't there, but he's one of the few people that when I see him and he starts taking somebody on, I am very confident that he is going to be able to work his way through 2 or 3 people that are trying to mark him and do well. But the overwhelming feeling, I think, and the dirty taste on my mouth is Duran Free kind of throwing this one away with 5 minutes to go. Just not committing to coming out, ending up almost in no man's land, and really just he let his center backs down there, I think, and that's inexperience. That he is a kid. He was born in 2006, which is insane to think about. And he just, I think, lacked the confidence there that he was going to get there. And that's disappointing. Either he gets there or he gets there and he takes out the man, and hey, whatever, maybe you save the penalty. But the fact of the matter is we were playing a bunch of kids. If you looked at that starting lineup, and I think most people are talking about this, we should have lost this match 4 or 5-0, because there were a bunch of what's happening here, and to take it to 85 minutes is pretty good. I think my final also thought is, man, if you're playing Orange County, you get a red card. That's 3 points, baby. You know what's coming.
You gotta love the diving motion here that Foxy does to entice that red card. By the way, for those of you not watching the video feed of this, we're seeing the replay where Fox is just telling Rito, "Hey, you were diving, you dove," and he wasn't doing it in a mean way, in an argumentative way. He just was doing a little diving symbol. This is gonna be my new favorite symbol whenever I see a player go down in the box, and Rito overreacted to it. Here we go. I'm gonna put myself on an island all by myself, because I think I know everyone here, and probably most listeners are going to disagree with me on this. I have the bigger problem with that winner for Phoenix was not with Duran. It was with Ashish Chadha, who, again, this is inexperience as a left back. He tracked back. If you watch the track back, he's tracking back more central, does not track back out wide where the potential danger ends up being, and leaves Duran in a sort of vulnerable spot to make that decision. Duran makes the decision to go back in goal. I mean, he's in the right position when the cross is made. That's where a goalkeeper is going to be when the ball's wide like that. He's covering the near post. It's just a really good pass from the Phoenix player to a wide open person in the middle. But I really feel like if Ashish would have tracked back wide instead of more central and in a jogging-ish motion, maybe it's different. That's just me. And I know people are going to totally disagree with me. I know Brad's going to disagree with me in saying when I say Ashish was more at fault for that winner for Phoenix than Duran. But Brad, I want to get your thoughts on this match.
Your argument isn't necessarily disagreeable for me. I see your take, and while I don't 100% agree with it, I do personally think that that does fall more on Duran Free. I do, however, blame the entire team. There should be no reason that Phoenix is given such a wide open field and possession down a man. Like, we shouldn't be allowing them to just get the opportunity to where it is a 2-on-3 even, or a 2-on-2, or so on in that spot. We should be controlling the possession, especially given how I thought we played better after that first 20 minutes than Phoenix did. I think Orange County, we're never really a possession-based team, but we had a lot of really good opportunities. I want to highlight the first half, Bryce Jamison, or early in the second half, Bryce Jamison having a wide open net, and he sends it into the side netting, but tough angle, forgiven there. Cameron Dunbar makes an amazing run, gets the ball lobbed down to him. He has one-on-one to beat the goalie, and the ball just curls wide of the net. That is 100% just unlucky. I really do think that it was a well-struck ball. It just couldn't find the net. Orange County played a lot better than I really thought we were going into this game, knowing I think someone had mentioned online somewhere that we were going to be down Colin Shuttler, that we were going to be down a Mong, and that unfortunately we knew that Ryan Flood wasn't going to be available for this match due to contractual obligations with his loan. So I think Orange County should have had one or two more goals this game. Both teams had a missed penalty shout. When I say missed, I mean not called. The ref was very consistent. This was one of the better ref games I think we've seen in a while. The fact we're not complaining about it. So at the end of the day, this just falls on we dropped the ball when we shouldn't have. When the first 10 minutes of the game we looked horrible. In the last 10 minutes of the game we looked horrible. There was only good in between.
BK, what are your thoughts on this match? What were you feeling knowing that we were missing so many key parts of this team? Again, if we had the list, we could run down this list, but I just off the top of my head, Thomas Among was out. Marcus Knockin was out. Colin Shuttler was on the bench. She didn't start. There's a bunch. Kevin Partita still out. A bunch of players that are key parts of this team not playing in this match. What were your thoughts going into this, and how do you think they played? Did they deserve a result in this from what you saw?
Yeah. To answer that last question, I think we deserved, a result, 1 point out of this. As Brad even mentioned, there was a couple moments. Dylan too, like Dunbar, really could have gotten a second one and was just nearly off. I think he looked better today. Or not today, but this last week than he has in the previous weeks, which gets me excited because all he needs to do is just start connecting the ball on target, and we've got some magic going for us. So, I think getting 1 point, potentially getting all 3 points out of that with our performance was in the cards. But, when I look at the injury report, when I knew what was coming, I think my biggest takeaway is that as the past month and a half has gone, is that our defense is just really struggling because, I think even before all of these injuries, our offense was struggling. I think the idea of we need somebody who can take a shot is still there. But the defense being gone, having Knockham, having Flood, having Dogman out, I think them being in prevents some of those goals. Whether it's the first one, whether it's both, to your point, Ray, I do think that the defense is a little bit to blame for that second goal. I'd probably be more on par with Brad's thinking that, Duran is going to be the most at fault. He could have taken a step, taken a dive to snag that one up before it got to the defender. But being up a man and not being able to defend that kind of attack is tough. But also being up a man and not having any shots on target is equally as tough. I think the most frustrating element for me on this game is that we just don't have somebody that can take a shot at the top of the box. Dunbar might almost be there, and I'm really hoping he gets there soon because we need it. But even if we have Among on the pitch, Among isn't somebody that takes shots at the top of the box. Zubak isn't somebody that takes shots at the top of the box. All of our goals this season have been, tap-ins, some good shots in the center of the box. Like Zubac had a good goal off of that corner, but we need somebody that can take a shot right at the 18 and bury it, at least sometimes, you know? Like I said, Dunbar might be that person. Maybe we need to bring in a transfer in the summer. You got to hope that if we do any sort of transfers, that it's a striker of some sort, because the offense needs to be built. There was a lot. The good aspects of this performance was our midfield. Dylan already shouted out Kyle Scott and Seth Kasipli. Both did fantastic. Also, Brian Olaski did really great, building up the offensive play, getting the ball into the center. I mean, and that kind of plays into just my most frustrating part, that nobody can take a shot. There was a point in the first half when, I don't know, for 5-7 minutes, we were just passing around the box. And that happened, I don't know, a couple times actually. But there was one point when it was really long, and I was just like, man, if somebody could just take a shot. I don't even care if it hits the post. I don't care if it goes a little bit wide. Just take the shot. And it would have made me a little bit happier. But we just don't have the confidence there in our offense. We have the midfield. We have the ability to do this team passing that can get around most teams in this league. And this game, I'd be a lot more satisfied than, say, the Oakland match a couple weeks ago, because we weren't just relying on the long ball. We were doing smart passing, smart plays forward into the final third. However, it's just that last finishing touch that we've been struggling with this entire season that we can't get to. Glad Zubac got the goal, but we can't just rely on set pieces. And that's been most of our goals this season.
I'm excited to see Zubac actually get hit in the back of the net now. He seems to be finding his stride or getting some stuff. But, I mean, was anyone else a little disappointed that he didn't even come close to target on that header in extra time? That was a golden opportunity to steal an equalizer, come away with the 1 point. I know it's not the easiest thing to do. Obviously, I'm being very demanding of someone like Nathan Zubac, but he didn't even really come close to the target, which that's, I think, the most disappointing part of that. Now, to talk DK, maybe, who knows? Maybe there's a former player by the name of Olaski that didn't really get much playing time out in Europe, and, he needs to get some playing time. Maybe they can loan him back to Orange County for a little bit. He can get some playing time back in the U.S. Rumor is, I think it's a very unwell kept rumor, but I think a lot of people are assuming he's going to make his way to San Diego when that franchise starts play in 2025. So, hey, bring him back to stateside, give him some playing time to ramp up for that. Maybe that's an option for Orange County. Who knows? Brad, I think you want to say something because I see you reaching for your mute button.
I have one final thought. I asked producer Andy to bring back up this injury report. There are two names I want to highlight here, that I think would have had a field day against this team. The first is Marcus Knockham. I think just he's someone who is a calming presence on that back line. Not saying that the two, center backs we had out there, but were particularly horrible. But I just would have liked to see Knockham organize the defense. I don't think that Phoenix team was the best in word of producing on offense. We had some good saves, but there were a couple opportunities where I think Knockham would have definitely been a solid foundation piece there. But really, Thomas Among, we missed this week. I don't know what his injury or timeline is, but if there's anybody who really would have had a good game, Thomas Among gets under the skin of people. He is, just in the mental fortitude, he thrives on some weird customs in the game where he would have had a field day. He is just a brute who I think honestly was missed. Not saying that Zubac hasn't had a good month of June so far. I think he's been probably one of our better players so far this month, with a goal in this game and a couple shots on target in our first game of the month. But Among would have just been the perfect complementary piece to Zubac in this game.
I agree.
Yeah, and just to comment on that real quick, Ray, something that I really liked last week was actually the combination of both Among and Zubac being up front. With the roster that we have, I think that's the play, because both of them being up front really draws teams away from our midfield. which when you look at the slew of losses that we had, it was the midfield just getting completely dominated because there wasn't really a huge threat up top for them to have to worry about. So if we can get both Among and Zubak healthy, put them up front, that could do wonders like it did in Detroit or against Detroit.
That makes sense. Dylan, do you have any final thoughts on this before we move on?
No, sir.
All right. So before we move on to preview the next match, I do want to get an update then now where we are with our month of June Playing for Pride in support of Playing for Pride and Athlete Ally. Brad, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, I mean, the month of June for Chris T continues. He's not been the top scorer each week, but he's been pretty consistent with 32 points in 2 weeks. You know, that's double what some people have further down the chart. I believe Ray is the current leader. No, sorry, Nathan is the current leader amongst the Orange and Black Soccer Cast group members.
You got to give a category for the on-air talent though, Brad.
No, I don't have to. In fact, it's probably better that I don't keep your ego in check. And Ray is not far behind or not far in front of myself. And then a little bit further down, you'll see the rest of the Orange and Black guys. So far this month of June, I believe if I saw correctly, our total max point or max dollar amount somewhere in 660 or something like that. So, you know, if people are going to donate at the end of this, you can really see this isn't just some silly game we play. It's really a driving momentum for good. And I hope people do make donations, and I hope we do get some people who really can win some cool prizes and cherish the rest of this month.
Yeah, I will say I'm really sad, Brad, that you didn't share the very rare thing that happened this past week that only Christy and myself did with our rosters. We were the only two that had all 5 of our players provide points for this past match. So that's a neat fact. So I'm part of a pretty good group there of participants. I'm actually doing good in this. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't typically do good on the games that we play on this podcast. Although I think the Playing for Pride thing I've actually done well in the past. I think it's Dylan that definitely struggles with this game.
Sir, I won the 2022 edition of Playing for Pride, but yeah, I'm otherwise bringing
Well, that was the first year Brad changed the rules, and I was not really up to speed with the way the rules worked. So that's why that happened that year.
Yeah, super likely. Hey, you know, the point of this is that we're doing a good thing and raising money for a good cause. So, yeah. You know, if I don't hit 50 points by the end of the month because I've done that bad, whatever, we'll make it a nice even 50 anyway.
Yeah,
and by the way,
go
ahead, Brad.
I take solace in knowing for the fact that you are ineligible for any prizes should your team continue to play pretty well.
All right. Well, just so you know, this segment is brought to you by a nice, good glass of water. So drink down your water and stay hydrated, folks. Let's do this. Let's move on to what's coming up next. And that next match for Orange County is a tough one. And it's tough because it's on the road in Colorado Springs at high altitude. When you're decimated with injuries, as Orange County has been, it makes it even more difficult because it's not a match where you want to have players coming back after an absence from the field because they will be huffing and puffing within the first 10 minutes of that match. I think, Dylan, you could probably validate that statement, right? Is a player coming back off of an injury, making the high altitude trip, it's going to be difficult for them. And by the way,
did I miss the part of my life where I was a professional athlete?
Yeah, you did. You missed that part.
Oh man, that must have been a nasty concussion. But to start this one, Colorado Springs opened the season by losing 5 consecutive matches. And then they drew a match. And then they won 5 consecutive matches. And last week, they drew a match. So they're either about to lose 5 more and do this all season long, or, you know, I think that's how the math works. I think Ray's agreeing with me, so that tells me that that's a bad faith argument. But
no, I'm agreeing with you because that means good things for Orange County and their fans. We're going to win. It's if you're in Vegas, Brad, you should be going and putting money on Orange County right now to win this match because Brad
Ray,
has,
you are a
Dylan has provided that
jinx
info.
and not a scholar in the predictions category. I will leave that to chance.
Well, I'll say this, and the better part is saying we'll let
Anyway.
Dylan talk. We'll let Dylan talk. But you notice the number that Dylan was saying each time when they lost and then they won. What was the number, Brad?
Ray, Dylan, please continue.
Yeah, so Colorado Springs is a little over 6,000 feet. I think Widener Field is technically slightly a little bit higher than that. It's on turf, so that'll be another challenge for Orange County. And the stadium itself the stands are pretty close. They're pretty low, so it's going to be a pretty kind of intense atmosphere. People might remember the old Widener Field, and it was not great, and it was bobbly, and the turf was bad, or it was grass and terrible, and things have been different since they moved. At one point last year, I think they had averaged almost over a 2.5-year stretch, over 2 goals scored a game at home, and I think there were somewhere around 3 wins for every draw and loss. So they've been doing well since moving there, and this is going to be difficult for a number of reasons. My hope is that we start another 5-game losing streak for them, because they are, again, right behind us. And if you're watching, you see them right behind us, 1 point behind Orange County at this point in the season. And they really did a good job to erase all those early season losses and get right up the table pretty quickly.
Brad. I pulled a Brad, folks. I was ready to talk and I was muted. Brad, I will let you speak now. But again, validate what was the number that Dylan was mentioning multiple times before you give your analysis and thoughts on this match?
I believe Dylan was referencing 1 point between us and 9th place. We are sitting very pretty in 5th, but there are, 4 teams ready to pass us. And Ray is flashing a hand gesture on the screen.
Well, you just said 5th, which is 5. So you're just validating. There's a lot of 5s going on here. That's all I'm saying.
I will be like someone in Congress and reclaim my time. No, I mean, Dylan hit it very well. This Colorado Springs team is in really good form right now. The teams that they did play against, they're I don't want to say the cakewalk of the USL. They did play Hartford, win 2-0. Rhode Island, they won 3-1. Oakland Roots, we all know that when we played Oakland Roots earlier last month, we weren't necessarily at our best of our game, but they definitely did take advantage of us. And Cellar Dwellers, El Paso Locomotive, who are currently sitting on and still respectable 11 points so far this season. They're not that far out of playoff contention themselves. So I do believe Orange County does have their work cut out. We need to figure out that offense, and hopefully getting Among healthy alongside Zubak, we can hopefully see Orange County figure out an attack, because it's hard to defend those two guys, let alone at the same time. And I think our midfield was a lot better in this Phoenix game. So combine those two things, a healthy returning team hopefully soon, and June's going to look a lot prettier again.
Let's go to UTK on this one, and I want to get your thoughts on this match. What does Orange County need to change from their match against Phoenix, if anything? And I'm going to ask you one additional question on that. Out of that long list of players that were out due to injury last week, if you can only pick one to return, which player are you picking that's going to be the most impactful for Orange County to come away victorious?
Oof. If I was to pick one player out of that list, just one, it would be Knockham. Definitely. I think he's really got to build our defense back. You guys might be saying Among, which is, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's 5. Oh,
because all the 5s involved with this, all the 5s, all the 5s involved with what's going on. Dylan Powers would equal automatic win.
I think No, I don't think Powers gives us an automatic win, especially with how long he's been injured. I don't think him being returned, we're even going to get 90 minutes out of him if he does return, which I really, really hope he does. But with Knockham or Dogman, I think those are the two that we need back. We need a boost to our defensive line right now. Shuttler wasn't on that list, or I would probably say Shuttler. But I think our defense needs the most help in getting any kind of points in this match. So out of the returning players, I would say Knockham or Dogman. Either one of those two is going to help us a huge amount. I think Partita is also a huge one, but I don't think he's returning for a while. I think we've really missed his defensive midfield play. As far as what we need to do to win is really we need to do a lot of what we did against Phoenix most of that match, which is control the midfield, get the ball into the final third, and hope for some magic to happen. I want to see Dunbar play 90 minutes, play as strong as he did in those, past 30 minutes that he got to play against Phoenix, and he'll get a goal. I'm really, really putting my chips into Dunbar to start scoring something. And we need that person who can shoot at the top of the box. And although he's been missing, he's the only one taking attempts at taking shots at the top of the box. I think the biggest thing, obviously, that we need to win this game is that we need players healthy. We need players healthy. We need to add to our depth. Because no matter who we play, if it gets to the 75th, 80th minute, and we have no one to sub in, we're going to get rolled over in the last 5 minutes by healthy players. So hopefully we can get some healthy players back. I think Colorado looks, as everybody has already said, they look really strong right now. Their form is really, really great. They just look like a solid unit. So we need to figure out a way to be able to break that down. And that's going to be tough to do in their home stadium. It's going to be a tough match, but it is a winnable match or even a drawable match. I'm not super worried about it.
Wait, Dylan was looking up at the sky. I want to confirm. Is that a word, Dylan?
I wouldn't particularly say that it is one.
I wouldn't say it's a word. It's better than what you were trying to come up with.
It is certainly better than what you. It's better than
take away DK's knowledgeable list. Is that what we have to do now?
We're just taking away you from the show.
To be knowledgeable in anything. So,
yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot that we need to do. There's a lot we need to improve. You can look at the month of May for that, and I think we're already starting to see those improvements, which is why I don't feel as hopeless after Phoenix than I did after Oakland. Perfect. There's a spark of life in this team, and I think we just got to keep rolling with it.
Dylan, anything else you want to discuss or talk about this match, or are we ready to move on to our predictions?
To be honest, I think Orange County just needs to be confident. If we were confident against Phoenix, I think a little less stagnant. We claw back an equalizer a little bit earlier. If we were more confident in kind of the last half hour, I think, if we're more confident to beat three men and take a shot, I think we score and we go ahead a goal. And if we're more confident on defense, I don't think we concede a second. So this is a chance, you're young, you learn from experience, and hopefully you build confidence instead of kind of panicking and wondering like, oh, I don't want to make a mistake and just, playing too defensively because it didn't work last week. And it's not quite squeaky bum time, but there's just no sense to sit back. We're not going to go anywhere doing that. I'd like to see us be aggressive because that's always worked.
Yeah, and I was going to jump on this. DK, thanks for jumping on the comments because listener Matthew Adams was asking, do we see Flood entering the back line for this match? If I was a betting person, I'm putting down a nice chunk of money that he's going to start this match. I think that's the reason you loan him from Phoenix is because we know we're decimated in the back line, and it's obviously Flood's a better option than having a Sheesh starting out of position in the back line. So unless there's an injury that occurs during training this week that is going to eliminate him from being able to play, I'm certain that we'll see Flood in this match. And for those of you that are nervous about this, right? Dylan, you shouldn't be nervous because of Dylan's, what he talked about with the pattern that Colorado Springs been playing this year, and all the fives involved were in 5th place, and they lose 5, they win 5, and all these other 5s that were happening. We also just got to think back to the very, very knowledgeable words of our former friend on the show, Alan, who we miss. Hopefully we can get an appearance from Alan in the near future. It's simple. Orange County needs to just score more goals and give up less goals, and we win. So that's not the exact way he used to say it, but that's basically what he used to like to say. It's easy. Score more goals and give up less goals. Something like that. I messed up the quote, Dylan, so you can...
Hey, Brad and producer Andy, how is the season score prediction table looking?
It's funny that you ask, because here it is. Right now, you can see there is starting to get a little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for, a gap between us here at Orange and Black Soccer Cast and the rest of the field as a whole. And I can tell you the actual reason as to why that is. And that would be because we here at Orange and Black Soccer Cast are a bunch of people who will predict that we are going to lose, because that's the form that we've been in, unfortunately, right now. There is not as much doom and gloom, or there is a lot more doom and gloom here on our side, because, we're just not doing well as a team as a whole. So right now you're looking at Taylor in first with 35 points. Andy jumps me to second place with 32 points after a perfect 1-2 loss prediction. And finally, I am in third with a couple of viewers close behind, highlighted by Kayvon, and DK is in 5th. So 4 of us are in the top 5. I don't know how that makes us feel, Ray. Just sticking to the theme of the top 5.
Well, all I care about is that I'm doing better than my other original member of this podcast, Dylan. So that's all that matters to me. Is that good? There we go. So we got to do our predictions for this match. And obviously I'll go first because we're on this kick of 5s, right? So my prediction for this match, 5-0 Orange County is going to win. And again, we know what's going to happen. Dylan has shared with us the number 5. DK, I think, mentioned 5th place, or Brad did, one of you two. So that's the number 5. There's a lot of 5s going on here. 5-0 me. Dylan, what's your prediction?
I'm going to go 2-2.
No one's going to win.
Yeah, no. Please finish your question.
Who's going to win, Dylan? Because we all know, anything can happen. Anything's possible, like Kevin Garnett said. Let's see what Brad's got going on here. What's your prediction?
I am going to go in and guess a 1-2 game this week.
Did we get that?
1-2.
Okay.
And then who wins?
I lost you for a
I
second.
missed the winner. I heard 1-2.
The winner would be Colorado Springs, given that I put them second.
All right, DK, jump on the 5 bandwagon. I'm telling you, it's fun. Look, wait.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad. I don't know if I want to jump on any wagon with you. But I am pretty hopeful for this match. I'm still pretty hopeful for this team. However, that hope is really only going to keep building if we get some injuries back, some healthy players. So for right now, I am going to say a 1-0 Colorado Springs, and that I hope I'm wrong.
So if we add the scoreline of DK's prediction and Dylan's projection, what do we get? 5. So see, 5s all around here. Let's do this.
I can't wait for the next time you go on vacation. You can't be on the show.
You know what though? I wanted to have fun tonight because of just how heartbreaking the loss was in Phoenix. Again, we all talked about it. We probably should have came away with a result in that match, but it sucked. So I'm just trying to have some fun here. Let's do this because Brad is so upset that I got rid of this portion of the show. So let's get into this. I want to talk to y'all about some random stuff. It could be soccer related. It could be non-soccer related. It could be anything related, but we get to all share a random thought tonight. And I know y'all were not prepared for this because we haven't done this when I'm hosting in a while, but Brad, I'll let you go first.
What do you mean we haven't prepared? I have a wonderful album this week of From Russia with Love, the second James Bond movie. This is the soundtrack album that I don't even know where I found it. But, you know, James Bond is a very, very important kind of, I don't know, part of me, I guess. There's a lot of good stories there. Yeah, Ray from Russia with Love. You know, one day I've always put this aside. I just want to make like a top, you know, a ranking list for all the James Bond movies just because I've seen them so many times at this point in my life. And I want to see like where my opinion lines up with a lot of other people's opinions. Because if you were to ask me, I would say Roger Moore is the worst James Bond actor, person who has ever played James Bond. And I don't think you can convince me otherwise.
My man, Moonraker is by far the best film that has ever been made.
So
Ooh.
Citizen
you can do
Kane,
this,
no,
Brad,
Moonraker.
that
that's
Brad could do
not
this.
a bad take.
Brad, a way you could do this, and you've written one of these articles in the past, is we can do a player ratings to the theme of James Bonds, and you can actually go in and put who your 5-star James Bond and who your 1-star James Bond is, and you can rate some players to that. If you ever want to do that, that'd be a good way to sort of share that and get the conversation going. DK, do you have a random thing for us?
I'm going to go with Brad on this one, as I said I would, and also do a vinyl. Oh, over this way. This is Idols. They are a punk band from England, and this is their live album. It is absolutely fantastic. Idols, that is capital IDLES. One of the reasons that I've been thinking about them is because I saw them in LA a couple weeks ago, and it's just, they're one of the best bands I've seen live. They're fantastic, super great energy, and they ended the whole show with the entire 2,000 audience saying ceasefire now, and that's why I love punk. So
Dylan, random thought from you. By the way, that was beautiful, DK. It's a beautiful thing that you shared with us.
Thank you.
Dylan, go for it.
You know, just drink your water. If I might recommend one, this Kirkland Signature sparkling water. I swear they're cramming 350 milliliters into a 335. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. Look, yeah. You know, my random thought is truly that I learned that Topo Chico has the highest amount of PFAS in sparkling water on average.
As a Topo Chico enjoyer, do you want to explain what that means?
Yeah, sure. PFAS is...
It's
Go
not the
ahead,
speed
Ray.
of...
No. I just imagine what's going through Brad's mind as you gave that statistic there, or that number.
Am I dying? Brad, you're drinking credit cards is the point I'm trying to get across. Not exactly plastics, but it's like, what is it? Polyfluoroalkyl substances. And I'm sure I said that wrong, but basically it's like very long-lasting chemicals. Typically they're used in things like Gore-Tex, like waterproofing. It's at this point, because of companies like DuPont, it's in everything. So, you know, there's plastic in our bone marrow. So like, it doesn't matter. No. Drink what you want.
Waterproofing the sparkling water.
I just
Yes.
love that we have done everything this episode. We've been a lexicology podcast, a superstitious podcast, and now a biochemistry podcast. Somewhere
And
in
you thought
soccer.
biochem would be coming from me, of all people.
Well, here we go really quick. Before we get to the last part of this, instead of a random thought for me, I have a random question for you all. And it's sports related, but it's not soccer related. I'll go to you first, Brad. Did U.S. women's basketball get it wrong by not putting Caitlin Clark in the Olympic roster? Yes or no?
I'm gonna give a yes and a no answer. Yes, They did wrong because right now she is the most talked about athlete in all of women's sports and pretty much all of sports in general. No, because she currently brings a lot of drama and not on her own doing 100%, but there seems to be kind of a question within the WNBA of, is she the poster child? Should she be the poster child? And a lot of people who are doing like hard fouls against her, just based on that.
DK, what about you?
I don't know much about that topic. I'll be completely honest. So I will not comment on it.
All right,
No,
Dylan,
this is
I'll
where
go
you
to
come
you
out
then.
swinging with the hardest takes. Look, I love Iowa City and the University of Iowa as much as any as much as any Hawkeye would. That was so close, so close. But the fact of the matter is the U.S. women's Olympic team going to be marketable? No, because we don't need her to market the Olympic team. That doesn't need marketing. Supposedly, that's the pinnacle of our society. So no, they did not make the wrong call because they should pick the best basketball players. And while she is a very good basketball player, she has some time and she needs some time. And I don't know if they take a break in the summer for the Olympics. I hope they do, but she could probably use a break because she's been playing for a while.
Yeah, no. The U.S. women's basketball team has won the last 7 Olympic gold medals, and I'm pretty sure she was not alive when they won the first of those 7 consecutive.
All right, so to answer Dylan, Dylan, you're 100% wrong. Brad, you're 50% wrong. DK, you get a pass because you didn't give an answer, but they're missing out on a huge opportunity to grow the sport, women's basketball, in the United States. As much as people might dislike Caitlin Clark, she's drawing crowds, and she would do that with the Olympics as well. It would help out tremendously. There'd be a lot of eyes viewing the women's basketball games on TV over the summer. Dylan, you look perplexed there. No? Okay.
I have nothing to say. For everybody who's been on with the show tonight, thank you so much. Thank you, producer Andy, as always, for dealing with our insanity.
No, we're not wrapping things up, Dylan.
Thanks to everybody who's been in the chat.
Dylan, what did you learn today? Dylan, what did you learn today?
I think I learned I need to take a week away from you.
Brad, what did you learn today?
Learn that you will do everything to stretch this into a 1-hour episode when we are hardly getting through 47 minutes and 50 seconds.
We're going to end early. I'm telling you. DK, what did you learn today?
I learned some opinions from 3 white dudes about the WNBA.
About a white lady. So it's apparently
about a white lady. Yeah.
What did I learn today? Number 5. Dylan, go ahead. I'll let you wrap things up here.
Hey, there's a whole bunch of places you can find us on the internet, and I think TikTok is maybe our least favorite, but for most anywhere there's an account, a social media type, OCSC_soccercast is probably where you can find it. You could find a lot of written content at OCSCpodcast.com. DK here in the corner writes wonderful match recaps just about every week, save for one time where I had to do it. Nathan Wander, who's made a couple appearances, will also do it. He also posts most of the match recaps. So, if you're looking for a place, you can find it there. We would so much appreciate if you would like or comment or share. Just try and game the algorithm a little bit, and we can hopefully turn this podcast into something beyond whatever it has become tonight. So, thank you to Brad, to DK, producer Andy, as always, for your endless patience with these people. To everybody in the chat and to anybody listening, whether you're live or a couple days from now, thank you so much. We will see you again on next Monday, and hopefully we have a nice, fun match to talk about. And
hopefully not Ray.
And hopefully not Ray. And keep an eye out because maybe there'll be a special event happening at the end of June. We're working on it. For everybody, this has been the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and we are finally out.